Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I know we have participants from different part of the world. Some we probably know, some we may not. And thank you for joining at this difficult time all over, as we all are struggling and facing this COVID-19. And people are expecting business to be as usual, which is not possible. So today we're going to focus on business continuity planning, responding to COVID-19. I'll be sharing some of the practices in US, how the different companies are, what they're doing, how they are addressing need for customers, need for suppliers, need for their employees, need for workplace, etc., etc. And before that, I just want to introduce the host. So I'm Suman Timsina, and I'll be your facilitator host for this program. And we will, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go over some of the highlights of the organization that's hosting, and then we're gonna jump in the topic for today. And I'll be talking about 20 minutes and about 25 minutes, and we're gonna leave rest of the time for the question and answer. You can type your Q&A in the chat window, and my colleagues, they're gonna help me, or I'll read the questions from the chat, and we'll try to be as precise as I could be to answer. And if I don't have an answer, I'll make sure that we'll get back to you via email for those answers. And having said that, I'll be switching to PowerPoint mode pretty quickly. So I'll be going back and forth with PowerPoint and the video. So sometimes this switch may not be very pleasant in Zoom, but just bear with it. At least we got Zoom. And so I'm going to switch to PowerPoint quickly. For that, IDI. So we are based in Washington, DC, an International Development Institute. And we primarily provide training and capacity building training all over, like in US, Dubai, Nepal, Nigeria, Bangladesh, India. We have covered lots of other countries. And so at this time, not traveling is one of the biggest thing with this COVID-19 all over the world. Many countries have shut down the airports, cruise, even the local transportation. So we are changing, we have already changed to a new normal in the work environment. So we do provide those trainings. We are based in Washington, DC with satellite offices in Nepal, Bangladesh, and Nigeria. And we have been in existence for about 14 years at this point. And now I'm gonna switch to our PowerPoint. If you need those PowerPoint after the presentation, you can reach out to us via email and we'll be happy to share with you. Thank you. Okay. So the topic is business continuity planning, responding to COVID-19. So today's agenda, we just want to do a little intro. And I already covered the International Development Institute. And we're going to talk about why business continuity plan. Do you have it? Do I have it? Does our company have it? And what size of company needs a business continuity plan? Is it for everyone? And did business continuity plan work for some of the companies which already had it? So we're going to talk a little more details on it. And response to disaster, some of the practices in US different companies are doing and how they are collaborating with their stakeholders. And also the responsibilities as an employee and as an employer, what our responsibilities are to address this issue, and especially responding to COVID. And then we'll jump to the Q&A. So business continuity is any organization's ability to maintain essential functions during and after a disaster has occurred. And as we all know that some of us, some of our companies, some of our organizations, some of our employers, they already have a plan and some don't. If you don't have it, don't worry, this is not the right time to draft a plan. Just wait for this thing to go away, and then there'll be lots of lessons learned, reach out, and then prepare a plan. And if you have a plan, watch what's going on, what worked, what didn't work. And after this event, then you have a time to go and update that plan. And so it's very, very important that to make sure, I think this event is going to inspire, or it's going to force lots of organizations which don't have a plan, or which doesn't have a comprehensive plan, or whose plan did not work, or which some organization forgot to update their plan, forgot to review their plan. So it's going to bring a new discipline in all of us. Okay, and so this plan is, we have to be really acute with this kind of plan. And sometimes this plan is not prepared to handle this magnitude of the problem. This is once in a lifetime type of problem. And every media, every article, they are referring to 1918, 100 years ago, something like this happened. I'm not sure if they had a business continuity plan those days, but it doesn't happen in so often. So sometimes these pandemic happens, they are localized, whether it is SARS or it was MERS or Ebola and other things, but not this magnitude. And in this magnitude, everyone is impacted worldwide, and especially now the businesses are all global, so it makes a bigger impact. So why business continuity plan? So business continuity plan is to, I'm not going to read the verbatim, but we'll go over many of them. It is to have a strategic and operational framework to increase organizational resilience. And so lately, many organizational development and organizational studies, they are using this word, organizational resilience, and it's itself becoming a new discipline or a new chapter in a book these days. So continue to provide businesses during the disruptions until return to normal operations. So can we provide a normal business during this kind of disruptions? Obviously, the answer is no. For example, you are all sitting at home, probably working from home these days, but not all the jobs can be done by being at home. Not all the jobs can be done remotely. Not all the jobs we can work over the very strong Wi-Fi, So we're going to talk about what are the different practices for those normal operations. And prevent and avoid suspension of operation and services. So that's the key. Even though the local government, national government, or regional government, peers and other organizations, suppliers, they're all trying their best. But still, some of the companies had to suspend some of their operations. Some of the businesses, I'll give you an example, is the banks. So in US at this time, if you go to any banks, any bank, no matter what it is, there will be a big sign saying the lobby services are suspended. Because one of the biggest messages in COVID-19 is maintaining a distance, social distance. So social distancing is becoming a new jargon now. So you can't maintain the social distance perhaps by going to the teller or by going to the bank's lobby. So all the banks are turning into their ATM services. Banks are turning into phone services, ATM services, online services, so they're depending on it. Okay. So it shows that those banks or those financial institutions which didn't have these kind of services, now they're going to realize how important these services are. Even if they had a services, I'll add some more example in it. If you have to deposit your check right now, somewhere you have a physical check, you want to go to deposit, not every bank has online deposits. Some banks have teller deposits only. Some banks have teller plus ATM deposits. Some has, you can be doing that online. You can just scan your check, and by use your iPhone or your smartphone, you can just deposit your check. Next day you have your money in your account. Okay. So it gives a new opportunity for all these companies to think about a new way of doing business. Ensure business continuity in disaster events. So that's the part of the continuity plan. And these events can include natural disasters, business crisis, pandemics, and we have seen that workplace violence, everything, and in US, we deal with lots of natural disasters, but not at national level. No, I don't remember after 9/11, this kind of disaster we have faced at national level. Yeah. Regionally, we have some places are flooded, or typhoon or other disasters. We face it, right? The earthquake. But they become localized. But even the problem is local, but the impact is national. Impact is global. Okay. So I'll give you one example of flooding in US, or some other natural disaster happens. So I'm again going back to the banking examples. So lots of banks, what they do is, if you have taken up a loan from them, if you have a credit card, they will extend your payment. They say, well, you are from certain zip code, you are from certain state or certain locale where you are impacted with these disasters. So we're going to give you 90 days or 120 days to start paying your payment. Right now, you need that cash in your pocket. So the employer, these companies have their responsibilities. So their responsibilities towards the customer, towards the employees, towards the stakeholders, towards the suppliers, and that's how they show their responsibilities as well, to provide continuation of critical and vital functions. So this is something very, very important. Okay. Lots of time we, in our organizations or our companies, we don't really differentiate what is our really critical function and what is the function that we cannot live without, and what is the function that we can live without for the next couple of days, or which are the functions that is okay to have. So if you have identified those functions in your companies or in your organization, then it makes very easy for you to, it makes it rather easier for you to implement continuity plan, because you cannot live without the critical function. Okay. But you can live with some non-essential functions. Okay. So I'm going to give you again an example. So right now in the state that I'm in US, US doesn't have a lockdown, by the way. And I know we have participants from various countries. Some countries have lockdown, some don't have lockdown. So US doesn't have a lockdown, but we have basically closed, everything is closed, right? So critical, there are essential, so food is essential. So people, even if you are inside the house, you need to go to grocery stores, you need to get something to bring home, cook and eat, right, by end of the day. So the grocery stores are open. They might have cut down the timing. If the grocery stores are running 24 hours, they might have reduced the time of their functioning. If they had 20 people working in the grocery store, they may have reduced the workforce to maintain the social distance. Yeah, they may have done 8-hour shift to 4-hour shift. And the grocery stores probably were very crowded, but now they are letting, in my state, they're not allowing more than 10 customers at once. So only 10 customers at once. So there's some grocery stores have line. Some of the grocery store has become very creative. So you go online, you order it, and you go at certain time, they tell you, and you go there and you pick up your packet. It's already packed, already ready for you to take home. So you don't even enter in the grocery store. Okay. And they will bring it, they'll put in your car, you open your car trunk, they will put it, there's no human touching interaction, there's no cash transaction. All these transactions are happening with use of credit card or online payment, or they're using different app to transfer money to the grocery store or the store, whatever mode of payment they accept. And I know some of them are still also accepting PayPal. So these businesses become very creative. Right? So different businesses become very creative about it. For example, restaurant. So the restaurants have closed the dining areas in US. So dining areas are closed in most of the states in US. And so you can't go and dine there anymore. Bars are closed. You can't go and sit down in bar for hours. So what these stores have done is you can order a food and you can pick it up. Some of the places are delivering food. Okay. They have changed how the stuffs are delivered anymore. So if you have chance, if you had an opportunity to look at Amazon, you can look at Amazon has a video to educate their customers. If they receive a package, because how this disease is been transmitted is through contacts, right? Is transmitted through the surfaces. Surface could be piece of paper, surface could be currency, surface could be plastic, surface could be anything, right? So when the package is delivered, so it has gone through, it has changed multiple hands. So they deliver it, and so there's a video how to handle that packet when it's get delivered in your house, right? So they don't even knock on your door. They don't do anything. If you have used the phone number for delivery, they will send you a text saying, hey, no, we just delivered, it's at your door, it's a doorstep. And you go open your door and pick up a packet. But they are all educating their customers how to handle those packages. Okay. So the question comes, do you have a comprehensive business continuity plan? Okay. So all the business continuity plan has to have a governing principles, and it has to have a preventive model. Okay. So what I told you about the example of banks or grocery store and all those examples, they are all preventive programs. Okay. So the preventive programs, the preventive programs are there to reduce the likelihood of damage. Okay. The last thing an employer or last thing a company or organization want to know is that that organization played or that organization was the breeding place of the COVID-19, right? So the preventive model of this comprehensive continuity plan is very, very important. Okay. So I'll add you another example, like some of the packaging places, you know, some of the different packaging or mail centers, they have identified that there were a few people who were working there. They were tested positive. So these centers are either closed down or they have taken some preventive measures to make sure that it doesn't spread through the packaging, other employee doesn't get infected. So this is very important to keep in our mind that it has to have a governing principle why we are doing it. Now, adding into it, so some of the businesses, before we get details into response to disaster, so some of the businesses are national, some of the businesses are internationals. Okay? Some of them are local, maybe regional, you know. So sometimes we have multiple locations, same company or same organization have multiple locations, you know. So how, if I have 5 locations, if I'm in Washington, D.C., my responsibility is to make sure that all 5 locations gets the equal attention by me or my organization. Okay, so it's very important that we should look into it. But this time we're talking about COVID, but to next time it could be some other disaster where that disaster could be just local. It could be just in one location, not in other location. So we have to also see that, you know, maybe the function that's happening in location A, if that has to be shut down due to disaster, that function could be transferred to location number B, C, or D. You know? So that's the part. That part is very, very important. But in this COVID, it's kind of very hard. Looking into the map, looks like there are very few places which are not infected to this magnitude. So other part is in disaster plan, having disaster plan or this continuity plan, what's very important is our employees are constantly educated. They are being educated. Our suppliers are informed. Our customers are informed. What's my business continuity plan is. Okay. So for example, I'll add more examples to it. Malls. People like to go to malls. They like to hang out there, go to food court, eat, do shopping. None of them are happening right now. Okay? But those stores have hundreds of employees. You know, they have vendors, they have suppliers, they have a huge inventory, and so they are closing. So they are coming up with a continuity plan. So I'll share 2 examples in it, and I'll come back to that example again. And one of the, most of those stores, they are in the mall or they are closing their location, a specific location or something. They are communicating to their customers through their database, because data is a big thing. So let's not forget that, so we are collecting data on day-to-day basis with our customers, with our suppliers, with our stakeholders, with our clients. So that communication is really, really key. What is happening with my business? What is happening in my organization? Okay. And so companies must be predictive, proactive in their decision making to preserve. So some of the countries where the incidences are very low compared to US, Italy, Spain, and China, one region. But those countries have shut down right now because they're taking a preventive measure. They don't want same thing to happen, so they're acting proactively. They are closing it down, or they have closed down already. Visualizing a business as usual environment. So that's it looks good here, but it's very hard to visualize business as usual. But still, we have to do our best in the business continuity plan. If I don't have any employee coming to my office, if we ran out of the power, or everyone is infected, or 50% workforce is infected, what is business as usual for me in that case? So we got to visualize and make a plan so that will minimize the disruptions for the organization. Okay. Operate with transparency and keep open communication, and that is key. I can't emphasize enough from very beginning. For even like hiding a small information could be a disaster. If I have an employee or my colleague or someone who is found positive, it's my responsibility to inform every single person that walks on that floor, that walked on that floor, or that works there. It's my responsibility, so that they know if they were in contact with that particular person. And if they were, they may have to go quarantine, or they may have to go get tested, or they may have to start looking at their symptoms. So it's very critical. Those communications are really, really critical, not just a business operation, but all kinds of communication at every single level. The responsibilities. So first and foremost, the responsibilities lies on the employer, lies on the organizations. So our responsibility is without saying, employee safety and security. Go home. You don't come back, because this is a disaster. You stay home. So now, this is very critical. This not that many people talking about it. It has a huge psychological impact on people. So employees going to think, is that company is going to be in existence after all this is over? Will I be back to the work? Or what can we do? So you got to have those mitigation plan. How are we going to communicate these things daily, weekly, however it is. So employee safety and security is very, very important. Other part in employee safety, you got to make sure that you have a SOAP in the, so everyone is emphasizing, every single communicable disease specialist is focusing on washing hands, nothing but wash hands. So make sure that your company has enough soap supplies, enough sanitizers, and whatever else you need. Right? So make sure that the workplace safety is very, very important. But if you are a very essential company where employees must come to your work, make sure the place is safe. It goes without saying at this point. Customer and client impact, we must see it. Our customer is impacted, my client is impacted. I had a due date, I had something, so everyone understands if I can't deliver it. For example, if I go right now and order something online to be delivered, Amazon used to take a pride that if you are a Prime member, delivery is 48 hours, Prime members. They can't fulfill right now. Everyone is ordering in Amazon. Some of the supplies, you have to wait for 4 to 6 weeks or longer. But the impact on the client must be communicated to client. Impact on customer must be communicated to customer. So they know their expectations has to be brought to the reality. Maintain efficient and effective control over business operations. keep close eyes on potential risks, and maintain transparent communication, or keep open line communication with vendors and suppliers. If you are waiting for your workplace where you have 10 people still coming to work, you are critical, you are essential company, you have to make sure that you have enough supplies that needs to keep that place clean. So you got to have that communication with suppliers. Maybe suppliers say, I can't supply these things to you right now. So you got to build that relationship and go that way. If you can't, then you can't have that office open at this time. Keep communication with local health officials and local governments, see what programs they have, what initiatives they have, and share your plan with employees, customers, vendors, and suppliers. It goes without saying. So if you see, like, I'm emphasizing on communication, communication, and communication. That is the key in it. So if you see the business continuity plan, so in the map, I got this this morning. I printed out from the Center for Disease Control website. Look, so many countries are impacted, right? Look, so many countries are impacted. This is from the last night, it's death toll is increasing, but more testings are happening, more cases we are finding because tests are more available than it used to be. So in the global market, if supplies are coming from India or from China or Vietnam or Africa or South America, US, wherever it is, every place is impacted at this point. And so going back to the responsibilities. So our responsibility is to stop spread of COVID-19 in our workplace. Okay. So person-to-person transmission through close contact. So you close your office, or you provide, we kind of covered it. So clean hands, that's the message. So you close your office. Anyway, if you have to open it, so make sure that you have enough coverage to make sure that you can maintain hygienic environment at your workplace. Okay. Challenge to responding COVID-19. So response to rapidly changing situations. So employees' well-being. So that's the biggest challenge right now. So I was reading a report this morning. So some places, so people, so lots of companies are operating for average 40% less workforce at this time. 40%, that's a huge number. So either 40%, I don't know about other countries, but in US, here also it changes with state to state, but if you are positive, you are home, okay? And you are not working basically. Some of them are sick, probably in hospital. And some of them, they go home because right now there are no schools. So employer has to think about it. There's no school. All the kids are at home. There's no daycare. Kids are at home. And the employees are parents. So employee may say that I got to take care of my elderly or my children at home. I can't be doing my work. So by law in our state, you can't fire them at this time. Right now, because during COVID-19 issue, you cannot fire any employees. Everyone's job is secure from that point of view. Okay? But you can send them on, you can say, we can't afford to pay you right now. So you can stop paying them for time being. And then you can bring them back once business starts. So when they don't get paid, then the government steps in. So government has introduced a program where they can apply and they can survive with that money. Okay? So they have lots of government assistance program on this. They have introduced. And some countries, they can afford, they have it. Some countries don't have those kind of programs. But the employees' well-being is the biggest thing. So you're going to lose staff, resources availability is going to be impacted. And same way our supplier or our vendor, they're going to lose staff. So that's going to impact our supply chain and suppliers. And third party and stakeholders, it goes without saying. And sometimes you have to bring business down, services down. You may have to reduce, say, I'm not going to provide the in-lobby service for banking, only online services or only ATM services. Some stores may say, we can't handle it. We got to close down the store. Okay. Closures and lockdown. earn customers and employees goodwill. So that's the very critical. At this juncture, we can't fire people. So we got to earn the customer and employees goodwill by showing this good gesture. I'll give you an example. So of 3 employers, I'll give you an example. They're all retailers. One is Costco. I don't know exact amount, but at this difficult time, any employee that's working at Costco, they are giving them, I don't remember, but $4 or $6 per hour more than what they are making. Okay. Target introduced same thing, that they're going to give their employee a raise at this time. Walmart introduced, I think, $2 per hour last night. Okay. So people are coming up with this plan because they want the employees' morale to be up as well. And if some family where there is a one bread earner and the other one lost the job or other one can't go to job, so those small gesture really helps. So this also provides an opportunity for employer to earn that goodwill with their customers, the employees, and their suppliers and everybody else. Okay. Communicating with accuracy and risk management. At the same time, this creates lots of risk. Okay, one of the risks it creates is a reputation, which is very big risk. It's very hard to survive from the reputation risk. So one of the reputation risk is if you have anyone tested infected. If you have not communicated to your customers and your employees, you're putting yourself at risk. If your workplace doesn't have enough supplies to maintain certain type of hygiene, you're putting yourself at risk of reputation, big risk. Okay? So you want to avoid any kind of reputation risk that's avoided. You want to avoid not communicating to customers if you have promised them some services, and you are not able to provide those services at this time. You're putting yourself at risk. So reputation risk is a big one. And I know everybody is talking about working from home, et cetera, and that's just a perk. It's not the only thing in this bigger schema. So, but if people are working from home, make sure that the bandwidth is enough, and make sure there's a cyber threat is covered, and so we got to be more vigilant about those things, because it opens up a whole new Pandora box. Some big companies are always, most of the time, equipped with it, but small companies are probably not used to or not equipped with it. So we have to make sure that we have a mitigation plan put into place for this. Okay. So immediate response. I'm going to go for about 4 to 5 minutes, and then we're going to open up for question answer. So immediate response must follow. But if you have question, please keep typing on your chat box. Okay, so we don't get bombarded with 500 questions at the same time. So must follow, implement organizational fundamental disaster management plan. Implement all recommendation by World Health Organization, CDC, is Center for Disease Control in US, and or equivalent sources in your countries. Closely follow precaution measures followed by the industry or your colleagues in the industry, what they are doing. Watch it, what they're doing, learn from them, and maybe we need to follow the same procedure. And an immediate travel ban. So right now there's an immediate travel plan all over without speaking on that. So that's an immediate response. So employees' well-being. So employees' well-being is very, very critical, and I have covered that multiple times in the previous slides as well. And so employees' well-being should be really covered in your plan if you don't have continuity plan. Okay. And it's very critical what kind of message we give it to employee when we send them home, when they're sick, when we close the facility. It's very critical, those words, that communication is really critical, so because they need empathy at this time. You need empathy. We all need empathy at this time. So we got to really provide. And some of the companies have already started announcing the counseling services when the employees come back, or when they don't come back, they have opened up on phone counseling services for their employees, because someone may be going through a difficult time at home. And allow alternate work arrangement. So working remotely and promote hygienic practices. And I know that couple of the distribution centers here, the mail distribution centers, their facility was not very hygienic. So at this time they have changed their facility or they shut down their facility. So these are some of the things we can respond to employees' well-being. A reshape strategy. Maintain strict discipline on working cap or on working capital, because now the capital flow, cash flow is going to really reduce for many of the companies and many of us, and adjust inventory and supply chain. You can't be like using one pen per day anymore. You got to be really rationing all those things, and build discipline around collective receivables and managing inventory buildup. Anticipate supply chain disruptions, maintain regular communication with suppliers and customers, adjust business plan and budget. And some of the companies, some of us, it will take a year to come back to where we were, maybe longer than a year. So right now no one is even talking about that because right now we are all very busy focusing on nitty-gritty stuff. And again, it goes back to the communication. Key is the communication. And one of the last thing I'll add here in the communication is people are working from home. They still need a guidance. So make sure that if you have a work from home environment, you don't lose sight on it. You arrange a date. If you are not a company which is used to this kind of environment, make sure that you have a one-on-one scheduled regularly. You have a team meeting scheduled on phone or on Zoom or on Skype, whatever medium you're going to use. There are lots of other collaborative technologies available. Some of them are free. And so make sure that you don't lose track of it so that you know what's happening with your team. And the risk management. So we talked about the reputation. So going back to same, people risk, infrastructure risk, cyber risk, operational risk, and communication risk. So these risks has to be addressed in the continuity plan. We don't want to put ourselves at risk and never open up. That's the last thing we want. So having said that, this is where I'm going to end my 30 minutes stuff, and I'm going to open up for Q&A, and I'm going to see if there is any question. I know my colleague is preparing for the question. So if there's any question, you can type and I can go through it. Roshan, if there's any question, can you forward it to me? Okay.
Yes, Mr. Suman, the question is in your chat.
Yeah, I got the two questions here. So the question is about education institution in Nepal. And for that company, for that question, I'll come back. So we have, I can give you a very high level, even if you don't have it. You don't have access to facility for online classes. So we're going to have a session dedicated for educational institution, how to deal with this right now. And we have invited expert speakers there from different institutions, from private school, public school, as well as from university. And that will be held on Sunday. At the same time. So I'm not, because we already have invited experts, so I don't want to mislead Mr. Das here, who asked me that question. So I'll encourage you to come there, and if you don't have the information, I'll make sure that our team will reach out to you and send you the information on that session. And the other question is, we are a small outsourcing tech company, and most of our clients are based in US. And how can we tackle this pandemic? And we don't have the, so this is a big thing. So this usually what happens was impacted area. If it's a local issue, then the local area is only impacted, but this is global. So whether we have a client in US, we have a client in Nigeria, we have a client in Nepal or India, they all are impacted. So the source of income, the source is impacted. So at this time, I don't know about this kind of questions from Nepal, I believe. And I don't know if I have an answer to that, but in US, what the government is doing is government has announced some of those relief programs. So there's just some immediate relief that comes as a grant to these companies who qualifies for it. And so they're giving them a grant, which they don't have to return. Some of them, they are coming up with a loan. So where you have to return, but the payment you don't have to do right now. I think it's after a year or two, then you start making payments. So they're coming up with different types of plan. They're pushing lots of money in it because no government wants the business to shut down, businesses to go down. They want business to open, people to stay employed. So I don't know if I have an answer to that. If your client is impacted with pandemic and they can't give you a job assignment right now or pay out, it's a very difficult. It's a very difficult time. So for US, the government has stepped in it. I'm not sure about the country that question came from, if they have any such plan or the government is making any plan, or maybe the client will. You can probably communicate to client, and I'm not sure what client it is. And of course, they may not be able to send, they might have some kind of contingency or their continuity plan may cover some of these incidences. So that communication with client will be helpful. And Sumit Paral, okay, issue in Nepal is the rural destination areas completely different. It is about survival. People have lost jobs, livelihood, measures net, save lives, danger of, well, I can give you example of where I am right now. Okay, so this is not just Nepal's rural destination areas, it's everywhere. People are from paycheck to paycheck people, they don't know where the food is going to come for this morning or the evening. Okay, so there's a plan. For example, in my district where I live, Fairfax, there's a food plan where the school, you had to sign up, and if you qualified, then food was provided in the school. There was a time you go and pick up your supply and take it home to cook. And they thought it was not maintaining social distancing, so now they have scheduled. So the bus goes at certain spot and they deliver it. So people can pick up food supply from there. And those are for people who can't afford. So you have to qualify for it. So it's going to work differently in every places. So I'm not sure if you have those kind of plan, but this is absolutely, I agree that people are hungry and people are scared. And that's going to be a question more to local government, how they are planning it. If the local government has their continuity plan, if they ever thought something like this can happen and how they're going to handle it, they need to look into their business continuity plan for this. And the other one is also came from Jamuna Swedi. We don't have proper social service. Yes, so this is what I think I talked in the beginning a little bit, that this incident is very educating to all of us. Right? So no matter how prepared you are, we are not prepared enough. It already proves. So if people don't have a social safety systems in the country has to think about it. Our local government has to think about it. What kind of safety we can provide to my citizen? All right. So, but I'm here to talk about the business continuity plan for the businesses. So even business has to think about it, right? So, so this is something opens up opportunities. This reminds people there are certain things that is not done. We better start doing those stuff. So I'm not sure if I have an answer to that. And how do we retain employees when the company can't pay more than 3 months salary? That's a very good question. So this is very, very difficult time right now. I don't know. I can just talk about country over here in US. So in the state of Virginia, so they have started a program called Pay Protection Plan. So Pay Protection Plan protects people's pay for longer time period. Okay. Unemployment benefits. So because of COVID, there's a special unemployment plan has been introduced. So initially the unemployment plan, you qualify only if you were laid off, not if you left the job at your own will. But in COVID, you may leave your job, right? You may say, I can't come right now until this whole disaster is over because I'm too traumatized. You are covered with that unemployment plan. They made the adjustment. So I know that there is no global program for this. Every country has to tackle that differently. So I'm not sure if the person who asked question, if his local government is tackling that in the same way like US and other countries are doing it. And then there is a long question by Obina, my old friend, looking at services and products aspects of the fallouts of pandemics. If the businesses now suddenly is faced with huge demand for the products and services, how do you manage pricing, especially looking at humanitarian obligations? Yes. So this is a very, very important question also. Like this opens up a whole new opportunity, right? It opened up a whole new opportunity. For right now, I'll tell you in US, if you go to buy, people are dying to buy toilet paper. It's so sad to mention that here again. Now, you can't find toilet paper. If you go order online, it's a 2 months wait time. And if you go to the store, no, it's not there. Yeah. So the pricing, right now the government is very strict about it, but I'm sure when they come back from this, demand for all this stuff will be very high, and pricing, I'm not sure how they're going to manage it, but this is where it goes as a company, as an organization, that we have obligation to our client, our customers, and our suppliers and stakeholders. We can't lose sight on it. Otherwise, it's a question of ethics, right? So we got to be pretty ethical about it, and we can't lose sight over it. Yeah. Moving on to the next, how do we retain the employees when the company can't pay more than? I think that question was asked previously. So there's no more question. So thank you for joining me. And there was someone had asked me that they lost the internet connection. If we can share the PowerPoint. Yes, we'll make sure that this video is going to be available in our website, and our team will work on it. By end of the day, we'll make sure this is available. So you can go and refer back to it. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining. And we have number of webinars coming up. I just want to throw it here. And our next webinar is going to be actually about 11 hours from now, impact on tourism. That's a big sector that impacted very much. So we have on tourism, we have on Sunday at the same time in private school, on the school and education systems, how they impacted and how they are managing it. So we'll have some of the best practices from various places going to be shared on it. And we also have, we haven't announced it today, but we'll be announcing it by end of the day today. We're going to have a couple more coming up, and one of them is going to be how to manage team remotely. Some of the companies are not used to it. Some of the employers are not used to it. So look out for our announcements, look out to our website. We'll have a lot more coming up in a few days. Having said that, let me see if it's blinking, if there's any more question. If not, then, so we will have, we don't have any more question. So having said that, I will say thank you very much for joining. Good night. Have a good day wherever you are. Thank you.